They came with billion-dollar offers disguised as aid, masked as investment. But one African leader did the unthinkable. He stood up, stared them in the face, and said, "Africa is not for sale." What followed would shake the global order, from secret mining deals to hidden caves loaded with gold, and Western agents scrambling to cover their tracks. This is the real reason Ibrahim Traore became the man they fear the most. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear has been buried in silence for too long. This is the full story of how Ibrahim Traore rejected the West's billion-dollar offer and blocked the largest resource theft in Africa. In late 2023, several Western envoys arrived in Burkina Faso under the guise of economic cooperation. But the documents they carried were not for partnership, they were for ownership. They came with contracts that would give them access to one of Africa's richest untapped gold veins, hidden deep within the central region of Burkina Faso. A deal worth over $2.1 billion was on the table. All they wanted was a signature, a nod, a silent yes. But Traore said no, not just once, not in private, but boldly, publicly, and unapologetically. For years, Africa's resources have been siphoned off by foreign companies under confusing contracts and rigged agreements. Burkina Faso's gold, in particular, had always been one of the continent's most coveted targets. Previous governments allowed quiet exploitation. Helicopters lifted raw gold from remote mining areas. Millions left African soil unnoticed. Traore saw the trap, and he set out to break it. Insiders leaked intelligence to the government about new Western interest in the Tambao deposit, a resource-rich zone filled not just with gold, but also lithium and manganese. A former official confessed, "They've already mapped the entire area from satellites. The plan is extraction, not partnership." President Traore called an emergency cabinet meeting. "We will not lose our future to smiling thieves," he declared. As the news broke of the rejected offer, Burkina Faso erupted not in chaos, but in celebration. Young people danced in the streets. Market women chanted his name. In towns where the gold veins ran, elders told their children, for the first time in years, "We own what lies beneath our feet." The message was clear. The people were behind him. Within 72 hours of the rejection, foreign media began to spin narratives. Burkina Faso headed for economic collapse. Is Traore becoming a dictator? The tone shifted fast. Sanctions were hinted at. International agencies paused funding. Western news called it a concerning shift. But Traore remained unmoved. Instead of bowing, he turned inward. He announced the construction of the first fully African-owned gold refinery in Burkina Faso, co-funded by Mali and Niger. Three landlocked nations now forming a new trade alliance designed to keep Africa's gold in Africa. The refinery would process raw material locally, employ over 5,000 young people, and create sovereign revenue. It wasn't just an economic move, it was war against dependency. If you're proud of Africa rising, like this video right now, and drop a prayer for President Traore in the comments. With foreign hands cut off, Traore began investigating local collaborators, politicians, and CEOs who had signed away mineral rights for personal gain. Some fled, others were arrested. Shockingly, a former minister was found hiding blueprints of secret tunnels dug under active mines. He was brought to justice in a televised trial that gripped the nation. Deep in the eastern region, military operatives discovered a hidden cave system filled with extraction tools, gold sacks, and Western branding. One marked crate had the logo of a European mining conglomerate that had no active license in Burkina Faso. The cave was sealed. A red circle was painted around the entry in public warning, "Never again." Then came Traore's boldest move yet. He pushed for the creation of a new West African currency backed by gold, not the CFA franc. Talks began with Mali, Niger, and Guinea. This sent shockwaves through France, whose economy partially relied on African reserves held in Paris. Western powers called it economic suicide. Africans called it economic freedom. Traoré's interviews stopped appearing on international media. His speeches were not translated. His name was omitted from global conferences. But in the streets of Ouagadougou, murals were painted. In South Africa, students wore t-shirts that read, "I am Traoré." The West tried to silence him, but the people spoke louder. Share this story if you believe Africa deserves the truth, not foreign filters. In a quiet summit, leaders from Mali, Niger, and Guinea met with Traoré. They signed a resource protection pact, a vow to never sell mineral rights to foreign powers without joint oversight. The new alliance, called the Sahel Sovereignty Bloc, became a symbol of Pan-Africanism reborn. Not everything went smoothly. Burkina Faso lost several international aid partnerships. Equipment shipments were blocked. Pressure mounted. A false coup rumor circulated. Yet, the country stood firm. Why? Because for the first time in decades, their wealth was theirs. Across campuses, a new curriculum was launched, African Sovereignty and History. Students studied Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, and now Ibrahim Traore. Social media influencers from Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana began posting videos titled, "What if my president was like Traoré?" The youth were awakening. As of this year, over 300 local mining permits have been redistributed to African-owned companies. Small communities are beginning to see revenue, build schools, and repair roads. A new generation of engineers are being trained not abroad but at home. In a fiery speech delivered in Ouagadougou, Traoré looked into the cameras and said, "We are not anti-West. We are pro-Africa. You can't keep looting us while calling us friends." The speech went viral. The Western media ignored it, but Africans reposted it millions of times. Subscribe to this channel if you're tired of lies and ready for Africa's truth. While the resource theft was blocked this time, pressure remains. Think tanks are proposing new backdoor strategies. NGOs are being used as surveillance tools. Economic sabotage is real, but so is African resistance. This is not just about gold. It's about dignity. It's about the right to say no. Traoré may not be perfect, but in an age of silent submission, he chose fire. And with that, he lit the path for a continent that has waited far too long to stand tall. This is how one man rejected $1 billion bribe and proved that Africa, when united, cannot be bought. Let the world know Africa moved again. Comment "Africa rises" if you made it to the end. And remember, the world needs to hear this story. Let your voice join the movement.